How's it going? Hope you're having a good day today. I just thought I'd send you a video. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourself. Hope everything's going as good as it possibly can for you, and that the sun's shining where you are. It's a little bit rainy. Do you want me to show you? It's a bit rainy. That's okay though. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you today about something I read actually. I was reading some of the scripture and I came across something interesting that I thought I might share. Um, so it's just one parable, and but that's enough. And it's about this idea, right, that there are servants that kind of get sent down from heaven onto earth, and so this is what happens. And pardon me, I've got an itchy nose, and so one servant gets a whole lot of, maybe we should just describe it as grace. They get a bit of grace, and so they get a few blessings from God when they come down to earth. Sorry about that. Come down to earth, and the next person gets a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then there's the last person who receives a bit of grace, but not as much as the first person. And the first person who receives a lot of grace, he or she does, what I'm understanding from this parable, quite a lot of good in the world. So they're quite, I imagine they're quite helpful and look after a lot of people. And then the next people, they do similarly, but to a lesser degree and to a lesser degree. And then we finally get to the last person who received a little bit of grace. And they kind of were aware that they were supposed to do some good things, but they didn't really, they were a bit kind of paralyzed or unsure, or so they kind of froze up a bit, say, and on planet Earth, and there, so they received their grace, but they kind of didn't really leverage it and do good in the world as much as they could have. Not that much at all, actually. And so the point is, in the scripture, it's said in quite a harsh way, and it's something that it's so harsh that I believe it can put people off the story altogether. I know I had a bit of reservations about this, and so I had to be quite charitable. And what was the point in this? Because the person who receives the little bit of grace kind of, I just need to move his chair. Receives a little bit of grace, and they don't do much, and then they get called up by the big boss, the person who's essentially sent them down from heaven onto earth. And and so what happens is they kind of they don't really get to, well, the idea is that the people who have received grace and done good things, they get to partake in, I'm not sure if it's more grace, so they receive more grace, or if they go to some wonderful place that we're not quite aware of on earth. But they have, like, they receive blessings, but the person who didn't leverage their grace doesn't receive their blessings. In fact, they kind of get cast out, it says, and go into the firing flames or into the darkness. And there's quite a lot of suffering there. And so the point of this story, I think, for me at least, is the idea, right, that when you're starting to receive grace, It's a very precarious position to be in, right? If you have a lot of grace and then do a lot of graceful things, then you kind of get on this self-fulfilling, positive, um, loop. What's that? Like a reinforcing loop of grace, right? But when you're just starting to get some grace, it's almost like the universe is constantly trying to take that little bit of grace away from you. So, because it knows there's like a choke point, right? And once your grace gets over, like, say, once you get to 2 levels of grace as opposed to 1, then you start to accumulate a lot of grace. And so this is interesting. So when you start to get grace, it's really trying to pull that grace away from you, because it knows once you get past the choke point, then you're just going to essentially rise up the ranks, because it's easier to accumulate grace once you have a solid foundation of like 1 or 2, you know. And so the point is that when we're trying to do good things and we've had good blessings in our life, it's tempting not to really kind of try and get past that level of kind of self-interest, or not doing good things for other people. And it's not even that people don't do good things for other people. A lot of people do. It's like a disposition of grace to others. People who don't who can't benefit you in any way, or you don't really get a lot of benefit, like a real charitable giving to others. This real this grace, like being really generous and blessing people, even in modest ways. So I found that interesting from that parable, that when we start to get on the grace track, there's a real hard line, actually, because there's something working against us to prevent us getting a whole lot of grace. It's part of the game. And so I just want to encourage everyone, if you feel like you are kind of at that choke point where you feel like you got some grace and do good things, but then it's hard, to keep maintaining the grace, keep doing good things, get on that trajectory up through the ranks, the heavenly ranks, and take care of yourself. God bless. Bye.